Welcome to another edition of Very Vogue with me, Val Kleinhans. I have the lovely Erica Chronowski here because she is a fashion designer and fierce mama herself. She loves all things fashion. That's why she's here. She's obviously very Vogue. Erica, I hope I said your last name right. Did I?
You did, and I'm
You
very
did.
glad you did. I've heard so many different pronunciations of it. I
Oh my
get
God.
Chronowski. For some reason, people like to add another N in there and say like Chronowski, but Chronowski is correct. Chronowski is
Oh,
correct. It's like it's like starts with crow. That's what I always tell people.
oh, got it, got it, got it. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're off on the right foot
Yes,
here.
very
So,
good job.
well, so are you originally from Minnesota? Because that's kind of how I found you, like the Minnesota
Yeah.
social media sites and Instagram. You might have been tagged on somebody else's thing. I think that's how I found you, but you're in Minnesota. Are you from here?
Yes. I'm not originally from here. I do currently live in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in a city called Redlands. It's like 60 miles directly east of Los Angeles. So
Oh,
I
okay.
grew up in that area, and then I moved to the Midwest. And like I did finish high school in Minnesota. And
Mhm.
then, so I've been in the Midwest for a while now. And then I went to college in Madison, Wisconsin. And
Oh,
then
okay.
I moved back to Minneapolis and I've been
Oh,
here.
okay. Got
Yeah,
it. So this was a family move originally. You
it
coming
was
to
a
Minnesota
family
at
move.
all?
Yes.
Okay, got it. And when you went to Wisconsin for college, was that for fashion? Was that for design?
Yeah, I actually did end up studying. I got a degree in textile and apparel design,
Hmm.
which was not my original plan. I didn't have an original plan. Let's just say that. I went there without a plan. And I changed my major like 5 times. And once I started doing textile design and fashion things, it stuck, and I was like, yeah, I could do this. I could do this like for a long time. I'm not bored of it. So I studied like textile design mostly and fiber art when I was there. So that's
Mm.
a lot of like dyeing fabric and creating the textiles. So I kind of started with my roots there. And then when I graduated college, I decided I wanted to, I always knew that my end goal was like making clothes. I didn't want to go back to school to learn really how to do that. So
Mhm.
I took myself to YouTube University and
Hey, you can learn everything from YouTube. You really can.
yeah. I know it's great these days, man. You could be like an expert in almost anything if you just put the time in, right?
Yeah, really. So
Yeah.
when you say fiber artists and textiles,
Yeah.
you're actually learning how to put the fabric together.
Kind of.
Kind of, okay.
Yeah, so what I specialized in was like dyeing fabric.
Okay.
So so yeah, that, and what I also specialized in was an art form called shibori, which is an ancient Japanese art form, and it's like different ways of tying up fabric to
Oh,
create different patterns. Um yeah, and that can be in, there's so many different like subcategories within that. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I started doing. And I still do that sometimes, although I've like very much transitioned kind of into mostly just doing the clothing. Uh,
hmm.
just because I'm trying to create a small business, and it's like, it's just way easier for me to do it that way and like time conscious.
Okay, so I think you called it shibori. Was that something that you learned about in
Shibori.
school? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that is kind of what I learned mostly in school and what I specialized in.
Okay,
Yeah. And I
cool.
still do
And
some of that.
yeah, I mean, when I look at your designs now, I see a lot of earth tones. I see just sparkle.
I
Where
do like the
did
sparkles.
yes,
I know. I love it.
love. It's a mix of everything. So it's
Yeah.
obvious that you just like the idea and the act of creating these clothes for your line. Where did the passion for fashion begin? Why fashion?
I think I've always just loved fashion. And I think when I was younger, I never thought of it as a career.
Mm.
for some reason. Like when I was a kid, even I would put together my own clothes. I like learned how to sew when I was pretty young, and I would sew my own clothes and patch things together. And so I always liked it. And even when I first went to school, I didn't even think like, oh, I could do this. Like I wasn't really thinking when I went to school. I was just like kind of a
Getting
wild
through it.
child back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting through it. I'm here. Let's
Just
do this. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's always been there, but then when I was like, oh, I have to get serious about like a career. And then once I started making clothes, I was like, I love to do this. And it seems like other people like what I'm doing. I just have an eye for it and it comes easy to me. Like I used to always think you had to try like super hard at something to like be successful, but maybe you should do something that's easy for you. And once I learned that, I was like, yeah, I don't have to make things difficult for myself, you know?
No, not at all. And what you're doing is subjective. I mean, you can create whatever. It's going to appeal to somebody, even if it might not appeal to one person, it could appeal to anybody else. That is, to me, the beauty behind art. And I do look at fashion and designing as art.
Yeah, absolutely. It is art. And I think it's like one of the most personal arts there is because it's what you wear on your body, it's how you present yourself to the world. And that's why I
Mm.
think it's so personal. And that's why I think it's so cool for people to, you know, create their own styles. And that's why I love creating fashion. It's like, this is how you want to present yourself to the world. This is your first impression you can make on someone. And I read that the first impression that you make on someone lasts like for up to like 8 meetings after. Isn't that
Interesting.
wild? I
That
know.
is
It's
wild.
like that's
Ooh,
I'm like, I probably made some crazy first impressions too.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
need to check. I need to check me. I need to check myself
Yeah.
and see who's
What
still
the
got me on
heck?
their mind after 8 sessions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, so as you created your line, I did read that, there's a sort of mission statement on your website that says your streetwear clothing line that highlights individuality and inclusivity while exuding good vibes and fun. So I want to know, what does good vibes and fun mean to you?
I think for me, it's more just like being comfortable in your own skin and being able to be comfortable and being able to express yourself in the way that you want to. And the
Mhm.
inclusivity thing is just like all people are welcome, all body types, all genders, all races, all sexualities, all of that. It doesn't matter. Like to me, I like to think of clothes as like all gender fluid. Like
Right.
all clothes are unisex if you like can open your mind enough.
Yeah. I mean, from what I can see on your site, definitely. I mean, you have
Yeah.
a predominantly unisex line. Anybody can wear it, and you do go up in a size range. I've talked with other, plus size content creators. They're not necessarily designers, but they like to wear plus size designs.
Yeah.
And they tell me that it's such a struggle for them to find people making things in their size, or to find, a brand or a line that considers them at all. So I'm glad I'm talking to a designer who thinks about this, because I haven't had a chance to ask this yet. What's that journey like for a designer? What is it like for you creating a size inclusive line? Were there struggles? Was it fruitful?
I mean, the biggest struggle in it is just since I make my own patterns, it's just making all the sizes. But for me, it's worth it because I wouldn't want to make a line that is only includes like a certain amount of people because a lot of fashion lines before recently were really, you know, small sizes and that's
Yeah.
what you would see on the runway and that's like whatever. And it's like that is not actually what the majority or the average person looks like.
No.
So it really doesn't make sense when you think about it. And that's not just who fashion is for either.
No, it is
Fashion
for
is for
everybody.
everyone. So it's
Yeah.
like sometimes I even lean towards if I had to choose, like I lean towards making things bigger because I think more people can wear those too.
Okay. So it ended up being maybe even a more profitable thing for you.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, cool. Because I have flashbacks to like even Abercrombie in 2005, where
God.
this
Yeah.
little meatball, this little meatball could not fit in those jeans at all. Because I'm not a stick figure and I have
Yeah.
curves, and I'm, right now I'm a size 14, and most of my family is built like me. We're not built
Yeah.
like tall blondes in the ads that, are just essentially stick figures, if you ask me.
Exactly. Well,
But
yeah, that's kind of how it started. Like, why runway models actually were so thin, because they were seen of as clothes hangers.
right.
It wasn't because they had this nice body, but then all of a sudden it translates to, oh, this is all of a sudden the body ideal. Which is like, I don't know if that ever was intended, but that's like what happened,
That's how it ended up being interpreted, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So when
So I
you
think
decide,
it's changing though.
yeah, I do think it's changing too. I think we're slowly starting to at least see that become part of the conversation and part of the thought process. I still think we have some headway to make,
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
not where we were. We're not where we were 20 years ago. We're not where we were
No,
15 years ago. And I think that's an improvement.
it can only keep growing. There's still hate here and there, but it's like no matter
Right.
what you are at this point, it seems like you're gonna get some kind of hate, and that's just the haters' problems, in my
Yep.
opinion. Yeah.
And then it's girl bye. I'm gonna get my
Girl,
Beyonce on.
bye. Boy,
Girl
bye.
bye. To the left. To the left. I'm
The left,
done.
the
Bye.
left. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, so forgive me if I missed this, but you've been a part of Fashion Week before, haven't you?
Yes,
Or
I have.
yeah, I thought so. Okay, in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think I've done 2 Minnesota Fashion Weeks.
Oh, okay. What's that like for a designer to get ready for the shows and decide what it is you
Oh
want to show
man,
off?
shows are so hard. So whenever I do a runway show, I pretty much want to show all new items. So I
Mm.
just I come up with some kind of concept and just start creating. And it's a lot of just like fast work and trying not to overthink, because if I have one problem in my process, it's sometimes overthinking. And it's
Oh yeah.
like, no, just keep going. And like that's why I kind of like doing runway shows, because it forces me to keep going, because I'm like, I can't think about how much I like this piece. Like, let's just let other people think about it. I actually have this quote up. I'm gonna read it to you. I have this quote up
Yeah.
in my studio right now. It's an Andy Warhol quote. It says, don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they are
Yeah.
deciding, make even more art. So I have this up because I'm like, I overthink things way too much. Like, just move on, move on. Sometimes you stare at something for too long too. And then it's just like, I don't know what to think about it.
Right.
But yeah. Yeah, that's
Or
why
you're
I like
up at 2
to.
a.m. Yeah,
Or
you're up
you're
at 2 a.m. making
yeah,
those last minute tweaks in your head.
exactly. Well, more like, yeah, 5 a.m. for me, but yeah.
Girl, no, it's hard. I mean, if
It
you're
is.
that type of person, I mean, I imagine that it's harder when your livelihood depends on your business. Like you're
Yeah.
your own worst critic, and you're going to be the one that is taking it the most seriously. I would think, like, when you work with other people, do you find that? Does that ever frustrate you that you're like the only one taking it seriously?
Oh my God. I've always kind of found working with other people hard, because I am such like a control freak, like in that aspect of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny, because if you knew me in like every other part of my life, I'm not that way at all. But when it comes to my work, I just care so much. And it's like almost like your identity, at least in like the professional world. And it's like, yes, I'm very control freaky in that way.
No, it
And
happens. I
it's
get like that too. I mean, because I wish
right.
that, yeah, we want to grow, we want to succeed, we want to put out the best product we possibly can. I mean, I try and do that with these podcasts too, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's tough. You work
yeah,
through it, and you keep it
yeah,
moving, because at least you have some progress behind it.
Yeah, I think I did read a quote once that said 90% perfect is better than 100% perfect. And like the idea behind that was just like just the amount of energy and time you would have to make to go that 10% further is not worth it.
Yeah.
And I try to think of that too. And I think I am getting better at it. I'm better than I used to be. Like I can let little things go a little bit better and move on.
Yeah.
But it still can be a struggle.
Yeah.
But
Maybe as you get
I don't always see it as a bad thing though.
No, and maybe as you get more and more familiar and as you do it for longer and longer, you get a little bit less anxious about it and you're like, okay, I've been through this before. I know what's coming. I'm all
Yeah.
right. We're gonna be good. I know what to do.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. You kind of learn as you go.
Yeah. Individuality is a common theme in your line too, and on your
Yeah.
website and on the gram, everywhere. What do you think being an individual means?
Ooh, I've never been asked that one before. That's a good question. Um, I think being who you are as an individual is who is like your traits and who you are when you like feel completely free. So like embracing those kind of traits in yourself and just letting yourself be who you are is you at your like best individual self, which can be hard because like I know like struggle with things like anxiety, so it's like when you're feeling anxious it's kind of hard to like completely express your individuality.
Because you're at the mercy of like your own thoughts and what somebody what your perception is or whatever's going on. You're just like, I can't see past this right now. I go through that all the time. You worry about what like you worry about someone and what they think about what you're doing. Or for me, I'm a notorious like people pleaser. That sucks. Sucks like the big one, because I can never, like, I have a hard time finding my own voice, and I never ask myself often enough anyway, well, what does Val think? What does Val want?
Yeah.
Which can be tough, which I think would
Yeah.
make me a sucky leader, which is probably why I'm not a manager of any kind. But
Hey, we all have our strengths though. But I think it is important like that to like check in with yourself like that. Yeah, it's always important to check in with yourself and be like, wait, what do I think about this? Is this what I want to do? Because I feel like I used to be kind of a people pleaser too. But lots of therapy has helped me get past that, I think. And it's just kind of learning your own personal boundaries and like realizing that not everything is for you, and saying yes isn't like good for you always or the other person if you're not like can't give your all.
Yeah, because you're not really helping, and then at the same time you're hurting yourself even more while you're helping, in air quotes.
Exactly.
Like it's like, I got this, I don't got it. No,
I don't got it, and now I'm losing my mind too.
And oh yeah, been in that place many times before. So we do talk a little bit of content creation on this podcast too, and I wanted to ask, at what point did you decide to take your business to social media and the internet, really?
I guess kind of when it came out. And I've been doing Instagram for a while. I'm on Facebook, and like I just kind of started TikTok, and I'm like loving it.
It's fun.
It's so fun. And I think that's like what's huge right now and can really like catapult businesses right now is like the reels and the TikToks and the videos. So that's kind of where I'm headed with like content creating is I just started filming some more process videos too, which I used to do some process videos, but I think it's really important in the content creating world just to be like relatable. So it's like showing those real sides, like fashion isn't all runways and heels and gowns and lipstick. It's like actually a lot of hard work.
Well, yeah.
Time.
Right. I mean, I can't remember what the name of it was, but around the time of the Met Gala, this must have been early May, I saw a documentary about Chanel and the inside of it. Like they're getting ready to put together a look for, I think, Fashion Week, but they
Mhm.
released it before during the Met Gala season. And you just see, I'm not kidding, like 20 or 30 seamstresses in one
Yeah.
room, just like they are laser focused and they're like putting in hours. And
Yeah.
you forget that like there are the everything looks pretty when it's presented, everything looks pretty when it's on the runway, but you forget that there is an entire team
Yeah.
behind that one look that literally put it together.
Yeah. And I think that's a really hard part too about being a small business in the fashion world too, because your prices just can't compete with fast fashion. So it's like I put
Mhm.
so much time into this piece, I can't sell it for less than it's worth, you know? And it's like some people, the people who get that, we appreciate them so much. But it's like hard to explain to some people what like slow fashion is versus fast fashion too.
Yeah.
They don't quite understand like, oh no, you can buy those clothes that cheap because it was made in a third world country
Yeah.
by some kids getting paid in bread actually. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it takes a lot of work. I think I've seen that video that you're talking about or similar ones. Chanel
Mhm.
is one of my favorite like high fashion brands. My
Yeah.
cat name is actually Chanel.
Adorable.
Yeah.
I have a cat too. Her name is Pantera and she's named after the band.
Cute.
And
Okay.
she's right to the left or to my left right now.
I was
She's
like,
just
I'm
chilling.
surprised he hasn't. I just heard him yelling. Oh, he's laying back there.
No, does your pet keep you sane whenever you have crazy days when you're
Oh
creating?
my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know how I actually got him at the perfect time too. I got him like 2 months before like the pandemic started in 2020.
Hmm.
And I live by myself, so I would have gone absolutely crazy if it wasn't for him. And now
Aw,
he's
yeah.
like one of my best little buddies. He's my
Does he?
roommate and he runs shit around here, let me tell you.
I bet he does. Well, does he get approval when you've put together a look and you're like, okay, how is this, bro?
Oh
Does he
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah. I
approval? Okay.
definitely talked to him. I do have to lock him in my room at like several like parts of the process because he like when I'm cutting pattern pieces and stuff, because he just jumps right on what I'm doing. And he won't
Just
move.
lays on it.
You know the cats are. They're like, play with me, play with me. I'm the
It-
center of attention.
They don't care. They
They
do
don't
not
care.
care.
So he'll try to mess stuff up. He's like batted at me when I'm like, or like almost got his hand in when I'm cutting a pattern. So like when I'm
Oh
doing
no.
stuff like that, I definitely like lock him in another room. So I'm
Can't
like, you're gonna
behave.
get hurt, kitty. You
Yeah,
gotta
we don't have time for that.
get some kitty stitches.
Ooh, yeah, we don't got that. We don't need another vet bill. No, no.
No. But he likes to be involved.
Great. So you mentioned something interesting about, fast fashion versus slow fashion and how sometimes you feel like most people don't understand the difference between the two.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to somebody if they have no clue?
I just start naming brands that they probably like. Fast fashion is stuff like Target, Forever 21, H&M, Zara, like probably
Right.
all your favorite spots, honestly. But that's
Yeah.
all fast fashion. Anything that you can buy for cheap, basically.
Hmm.
And yeah, then I just start to explain to them the process of why it's so cheap, which is because it's being created inhumanely,
Hmm.
like in third world countries where people they don't have any other options, and they're like
Right.
just doing it to survive, but they're barely surviving, they're living in very poor conditions. So I kind of go there. Well, I can't say I've never not bought something fast fashion, I try not to.
Well, we all do
It's
because
so
it's for
hard, it's
most of
so
us.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for most of us, it is what we can afford, and that is why those brands continue to stay in business, because we don't have a lot of change here, even
Yeah.
even in our own country. I mean, there's people struggling, but I can
Yeah.
understand, talking about slow fashion, I can understand why you set the prices that you do, because I mean that is the cost of living and functioning in the US.
Exactly. That's the cost of living and functioning. And it's so crazy because back in the day, like fast fashion is new. Like it's really only been around for like 20, 25 years. So before
I didn't know
that,
that.
yeah, so before that, people were buying things for more expensive, but their closets were just way smaller. Like the average person's closet was way smaller. But the thing is, fast fashion, the quality is like shit. Like
Mhm.
you'll notice it disintegrating or falling apart like real quick after a few wears. So
Yeah.
that's what they used to do before fast fashion, was buy fewer high quality items.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm
that's
I'm
what
all for that.
me too, me too.
I've tried to do that with my own closet, and I'm downsizing a bit here and there, but I mean, I do try to make it like a point to just clean it out every couple months and be like, okay, have I worn this in the past year and does it fit? If the answer to both questions are no,
Yeah.
bye.
I try to do that too, but there's always like a few things that I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but
But
maybe, maybe
right.
I'll wear it. Yeah, I never wear it. Just get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so what is next for you and your brand? What can we look forward to?
Well, I just got some fabric in for a new line that I'm working on. So I haven't created a full collection in a while. So I'm creating a full collection. It's all going to be available on my website. I'm trying to have it done like around December 1st-ish, around
Mhm.
there. It should be available, but I'm really excited about it. I kind of just went off this fabric that I like am obsessed with, and I
Yeah, it
made it.
inspired you.
Yeah, and so I got a bunch of different colors in this one fabric with this one pattern, and I'm not going to give too much away, but um
That's okay. It
that's what I'm currently working on, which I'm excited about.
it sounds like color inspires you. What else inspires you?
Patterns, colors. Like I really go off, like I really am a textile person, like at my core, because I always like start with the fabric. Like
Mhm.
before I like to go to a fabric store and let the fabric speak to me, and then I'll be like come up with my fabric, like my project there, it's like the
Mhm.
fabric really does like tell me what to do. We have like a
That's
special bond.
it's weird. I mean, that's what people say about Target. Like Target tells me what to do.
Target.
But no, Target tells me
Oh
what
my
to do.
god, I'm
I just
sure
walk in. I
that.
know. And you're like, no, it's the fabric. I am all about the fabric.
Yes, exactly. The fabric knows what to do.
Cool.
That's
Well,
why yeah. Have you
I'm
ever been to SR Harris?
no, I sounds like I should. What's that?
It's it's the pretty much only fabric store worth going to in the area. I think
Okay.
it's in Brooklyn Park or Brooklyn Center. And it's like a
Okay.
huge warehouse full of just fabric on fabric on fabric. Um,
Mm.
I almost had a panic attack the first time I went there because it's
Too
so
much at
big.
once.
Well, because I already get excited about fabric and I like couldn't choose anything because I wanted everything. And I'm like, okay, I get it now. Now I have to go in with like a semi vision. I can't go in blindly. I need to have like a project kind of in mind. But yeah, if you like fabric or anything, that's a place to go in Minneapolis.
Okay, noted. I mean, we have some other designers listening, some other baddies that want to wear clothes
Yeah,
listening. We're stoked. We're
yeah,
ready.
hell yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to the new line. Thank you for sitting and chatting with me about what you do, and I look forward to more.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It was really nice to chat with you.
Yeah.